And welcome back to the Shacknews Awards 2023. We are just handing out awards left and right now. And our next category is Best Early Access Game of the Year 2023. So at Shacknews, we don't allow early access games to be considered for Game of the Year. We tend to hold those judgments off until the game hits 1.0. So these are games that did not hit 1.0 by the point of our cutoff date, which is the end of November. So here we are. Those are the rules, and here are the nominees: Tape to Tape, Disney Dreamlight Valley, BattleBit Remastered, Dark and Darker, Kerbal Space Program 2, and Relic Hunter's Legend. So let's get this started with some hockey talk. Hockey is awesome, and one of our staff members is quite a fan of the New Jersey Devils. So, Steve, what? Yeah, I see it. I see it in your shot. What are your thoughts on Tape to Tape?
When we first heard about Take the Tape in, I believe, one of the Shack News Indie Fest
Yeah,
videos
Indie Showcase. Yeah,
during E6 or E7. E6 might be too far back. I think it was last year, probably
I
the
think
most
it was
recent.
E6. I think it
Was it
was
E6?
E6. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so if this is a roguelike hockey game, and the video games world does not take advantage of hockey games. I mean, we've had very few good hockey games over the course of years. NHL '94, NHL 2K on the Dreamcast.
Wayne
But
Gretzky's 3D hockey.
Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey, that's true too.
Thank you.
But now we have tape to tape roguelike hockey that plays like old school arcade hockey. It's fantastic. You have different power ups for your players. You can beat different teams. You can gain different players. You can, and the names. If you know hockey, some of the names are spoofs of actual hockey players. Like Willie Bree is a spoof of Willie O'Ree. He plays for the Cheese team, and when you get to know more of the teams, it makes more sense. You can have speed ups. You can throw your stick at one of the players to get better shooting angles. You can hit everything or you can hit nothing. One of your players might be able to wear a suit of armor so he can absorb body checks. You can play better goalie work. This game is a hockey fan's dream, and I know Bill has been as the Canadian in the group. He loves this game. I
Hmm.
see him always playing it when it pops up on Steam. When he was playing it when I was doing Steve Tendo shows, it's like, oh, tape. It's like masterpiece game.
And it's still in early access, so we haven't been able to review it yet. But I've played it too, Steve. I love it.
Oh, I
Uh,
love it.
I I would love to see more stuff like this. Like I feel like WrestleQuest is kind of in the same vein, right? Where they
Similar.
took they took wrestling and they made an RPG out of it, but they also brought in some like actual wrestlers. I think in this case, like tape to tape feels like a NFL blitzy, but at the same time, it actually has some very intricate gameplay mechanics. Uh,
It,
yeah, it's a cool balance of arcade and I wouldn't say sim, but like just fun. Like I guess just fun hockey games. Because
it 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 feels like an arcade game that's trying to take itself seriously for a subject that shouldn't be taken very seriously, which is roguelike hockey. And everything works. I mean, the first boss of the first world that I've played is the refs. You're playing a team full of referees, and when you score the first goal, they're like, "No, wave it off," even
yep,
though nothing happened. Like, nope, penalty, no goal, no nothing, and then you go from there, and then you can do different challenges during the course of the first couple of levels. You can play like another team's first goal wins, then you get a power up for one of your players, or you win a two period game, and then you can claim one of the players. So there is reward, but if you lose and it's a challenge match, you're out and you have to start over.
oh man, yeah, I love it though. Very good
Yeah,
nomination.
and like it has to be said, there is just no good other hockey games out there
No,
right now. Like
no.
it's a barren wasteland. EA Sports NHL, give me a break. Every time Bill brings it up, it's mostly about how much that game disappoints him every single year. And it's been cool to see tape to tape because it's given Bill a spark in his life that was not there, that every other group in the gaming industry has failed to provide.
Yeah, and NHL by EA, there are good years and there are worse years, and it's one of these situations where there hasn't been a lot of improvements to that game in the last like 3 years, but it's still like it's a hockey game, like it's decent. But this is like there, it feels like it has a little bit of the attitude of like Mutant League too, where it's just like hockey with attitude. I think is more fun than like trying to be a strict simulator. And I think that's where tape to tape gets it right. And you're right, Steve. That match against the refs is so funny.
Oh, it's
I
great.
hope to see more stuff like that because like thumbing your nose at the NHL is I think one of the things that tape to tape does really well. And it also is a kind of a commentary on just you know the different leagues inside of hockey, right? The minor leagues and whatnot, like
Yeah.
being able to move up. And yeah, I think the opportunity ahead of tape to tape is huge, and yeah, it's a market that, to TJ's point, has been woefully underserved and only given the one game a year situation, which we talked about in the other category with like WWE having competition. I think made that game better. Maybe tape to tape will be that thing that hey, EA, maybe make a better game.
And we've said this during our best sports games throughout the years. We like outside the box sports games. We like something that takes like a traditional sports game and puts a bit of a twist on it. And in this case, like this is the kind of thing that like that made people love Golf Story back in the day. Like you take a sports game and you put it like in a totally unconventional genre and you make it work like around those parameters. And it's really cool.
Yep. For sure. Like I said, worthy nominee, but we're on to the next one. Disney Dreamlight Valley. Ozzy, this is your jam.
I love that Best Early Access gives us this unique opportunity to potentially have repeat winners. Disney Dreamlight Valley is the defending Best Early Access game champion. And this
That's so
second
funny.
year, they've doubled down on everything that made it a great Animal Crossing-like game in terms of adding everything from even more Disney properties. And they've also rounded out the story. Like, when you go in, you're an amnesiac. You're like trying to figure out why everybody in the village has forgotten the past. And you're putting that story together. This year concluded that story. And now it's set up like for whatever Gameloft has beyond that. This actually went 1.0 after the cutoff. So I'm excited to see what else. I'm excited to bring this up for some of the awards next year. And but as it is as a solo game, I really enjoy this. It's one of the most relaxing games I've ever played. It's something that I'm desperately aching to get back to once we go on vacation, and it's still my jam. Everything I said about it a year ago still applies today in terms of it being something where you can explore a village, you can talk to your favorite Disney characters, and you can build a cool home by letting Scrooge McDuck take you to the cleaners.
So Scrooge is the Tom Nook in this scenario?
Yes.
He is.
That's funny.
I want to give just a shout out to this game because on paper, like Disney Dreamlight Valley just seems like it's gonna be the most mailed in, like cash grab tie-in, cash in on the trend kind of game. It is so fun. Like what Gameloft has done with that, it is such a good, competent, like farming sim that's actually got like satisfying gameplay loops and systems, and all the like Disney stuff of it all is really just like icing on top of like a really good foundation. I think that game works if you take Ratatouille and Scrooge McDuck out of it. I think the game is still a lot of fun.
I love Ratatouille in this game. I love Remy
He's great.
as your as your
Yeah,
guide
right,
in the
Coney
kitchen.
too.
And
Jesus.
I
Yeah.
love being able to cook dishes that I would get at Disneyland. Like the little things that it has for the Disney aficionado, I think actually put this game over the top.
Mm. Yeah, it's a very good
It's,
game.
it's funny to see these games coming out, like 3 years after Animal Crossing. But
Yeah.
it does feel like there were boardroom meetings where everyone's like, "Hey, have you seen these Animal Crossing numbers? We need to do an Animal
Yeah.
Crossing with our IP." And now
I mean,
it's
there's
like,
a real market there, right? Like Animal Crossing, love it to death, but at the end of the day, that game's only on Switch, right? And it's
Yeah.
like there's definitely a market to have an Animal Crossing like or the closest equivalent on consoles, PC, and stuff. So
Yeah, for sure.
makes sense
Or
that everybody shooting their shot.
on
And
Steam
part of
Deck.
why
Yeah.
we're gonna hopefully talk about this again next year is when it's going 1.0. It went 1.0 a week ago. It's got multiplayer. We're gonna be able to visit each other's villages now. So I want to see what they do with that.
I'm really curious the time to visit versus the
God.
excruciating time to visit in Animal Crossing. Like
The bars on
going
the
to the
floor.
airport, talking to the bird, telling the bird to turn on the internet, then asking what friends are online, then choosing the friend online, then watching the animation of you getting on the plane, then watching the plane animation, and then watching the landing animation, and then watching you walk out of another airport and out of the airport onto the. It's like 8 minutes to play online.
Not to digress
Oh,
too much,
David, you're
but
muted.
I'm
Sean, I think you were supposed to say
excited
something.
for like 2025 when we're going to start writing like all the retrospective pieces on Animal Crossing and that window of time where we were all on lockdown and everybody was visiting each other's islands. I'm excited for
All
the
I'm
future of
saying
the Animal
is
Crossing
that
discourse.
all I'm saying is that I hope Disney Dreamlight Valley has a better solution than whatever the hell Nintendo thought
David,
was
you're muted.
internet. David, you're muted.
You're muted, Dave.
It's your
It's your Discord mic.
your
Yeah, there you go.
The wait was much like the wait to fly somewhere in Animal Crossing. You can't expect dodos to use
boy.
modern means of transportation.
They
That's
have like
all.
a computer there though. They're like
Well,
there's like
There's
an
a real trick
ATM
in
in
the
their
airport.
airport.
They are bird pecking over that keyboard. I guarantee it.
Disney
Yeah.
transports you with the power of Disney magic. I mean,
Yeah.
Merlin, you just got to find Merlin somewhere. He's wandering around the village somewhere.
Yeah.
You
apparently
have to go to
fairy
an airport,
godmother
and
got-
Goofy's gonna have to help you get on an airplane.
No, Goofy's running the shops where he belongs and where he can do minimal damage. I was about to say do no damage, but that's not true at all.
He's still goofy at the end of the day. No, it makes a lot of sense. We've talked about Hello Kitty Island Adventure and other categories, and now Disney Dreamlight Valley is here. It's just I'm not surprised, but like we've seen this wave of like cozy games, farm sim games, this kind of game, that kind of game. Not all of them really are like Animal Crossing. This game is. It's very much like Animal Crossing, and I think, like you said, it's opening the door to that style of game to players on different platforms, and also people who may just only like Disney and don't actually resonate with Isabelle or Tom Nook or any of those characters. So yeah, it's interesting that it is defending its title as early access game of the year. That's pretty rare.
Flavor can be a
although-
big difference, yeah, and like not liking a genre and then liking it just because the theme changes. It's a huge
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah. But yeah, unless anyone else has anything else to say about Dreamlight Valley, we should move on to the next nominee, which is BattleBit Remastered. This game ended up doing the Battlefield equation better than Battlefield has lately. And it's got this very unique voxel art style to it. I absolutely stink at the game, but I enjoyed my time with it. I think we did a big team building stream with it and had a
Yeah.
decent time.
We were
Yeah.
all
It was a
our
lot of
reflexes
fun.
were all too slow. We got murked
Yeah.
over and over again. Like, and that's just the fact of the matter that people jumped into that game and brought all of their Battlefield talents with them, and they transferred properly. Like,
Yeah.
people's skills in that game. If you were good at Battlefield, you're good at BattleBit. And
Or like
that's-
Bad Company 2. If you haven't, if you like fell off the Battlefield series since Bad Company 2 or Bad Company 1, like yeah, you can still jump into BattleBit and have a great time. And yeah, this game like exploded earlier this year.
Mhm.
It was kind of everywhere for a little bit.
My takeaway from BattleBit Remastered is that there's like a real hunger for a competent, fun, large-scale military shooter in 2023. Just like in a world where like COD long lost its way, Battlefield has lost its way. Like the numbers that game put up, despite looking like a Roblox like game,
Yeah.
was crazy to me. That it just says so much about like it's not the graphical fidelity or like the authentic looking guns with scratches and paint on them and whatnot. People just want good like shooter gameplay, which was all BattleBit Remastered brought. That dedicated servers, and a handful of fun game modes, and people ate it up. And that game's a lot of fun. Like you said, TJ, it's brutally difficult because you will get mowed down in that game.
hmm
But
But yeah, it's a
okay.
shooter that's in early access right now that really stuck out this year for sure. And a worthy nominee. Unless anyone else, I do think the art style sticks out though. Like you look at it,
Mhm.
I'm sure EA spends a lot of time on the assets for their Battlefield games, and then they look at BattleBit cleaning up,
Yeah.
and they it must make them wonder, hey, maybe there's something we could do differently here. I think the other thing, does BattleBit have dedicated like private servers, or doesn't it allow you to spin up a server?
I feel like it does.
Yeah,
I could be
because
misspeaking, but I can
because
mention
to
it
me
does.
that's what's missing in the Battlefield formula over at EA now is the ability to host a private server, and like they took that away I think with Battlefield 4, and it has never come back. So
Mhm.
that's like another key differentiator I think between Battlefield and BattleBit Remastered.
Yeah.
Also, like,
Also,
why is it called BattleBit Remastered? Was there a BattleBit that none of us knew about?
probably considering it was like an indie project, it was like a handful of devs. I wouldn't be surprised if this was like the final version of a thing they've been working on
It
for an
sounds like a
eternity.
Japanese anime.
This could have easily been like a school project that they were just like, we might
Yeah.
actually have something here. Let's make a new build of it.
Yeah. It's just the classic tale of like an indie developer taking the formula of an established franchise, just going back to basics, and everyone loving it. We talked off camera about like Cassette Beast, just like doing Pokemon, but like old school Pokemon and just being great because there's
Isn't this like
no
it's a
bullshit tacked
pretty
into it.
small dev team too. It's like 3 or 4 people, right?
Yeah, it's like a small handful of folks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wikipedia says that this did start out as BattleBit when it was conceived back in the mid 2010s, and
Okay.
once it took
Okay, yeah.
off, they
Makes sense.
remastered it.
Neat.
Good for
Yeah,
them.
never heard about it back then, but this BattleBit Remastered game definitely earlier in the year kind of took over the internet for a little
Oh,
bit.
hang on. I'm going further into the Wikipedia entry. It says this is not an actual remaster, but it's more of an in joke about how they kind of had to restart their development.
Okay, so I
There
was
you
right.
go.
This is not a remaster, like because it does feel like a new game. They're just like, we've been working on this for so long that this is now a remaster. I like that.
It's fair.
And yeah, shout out to small dev teams hitting home runs. We love to see it, and I think BattleBit Remastered is one of those. And not everyone has that kind of luck in early access. There's a little game called Quake Champions. I think it's still in early access. Next nominee is Dark and Darker. This is just an interesting story
Yeah.
of a
Yeah, it
game.
is.
Yeah.
Go for it, TJ.
Yeah, so like Iron Mace came up with a game. They were coming up with it at Nexon, but Nexon didn't give them the green light on it, so they left to form Iron Mace. Continued with the game. Nexon caught wind of it, sued them because they claimed that they used Nexon owned assets and got it delisted from Steam. So I think that case is still ongoing right now. But in the meantime, they said, no, we didn't, and Nexon is bullying us, so if we can't be on Steam, we're just going to make our own launcher with hookers and blackjack. And they went ahead and launched the game again.
It sounds
And-
better than Epic Game Store. Sorry.
Yeah, and then Sam introduced us to this game on a whim, and Sam loves extraction shooters. Let's start with that. And this is
Yeah.
like a very interesting style of extraction shooter. Because first off, it's old school medieval. like fantasy fiction, class based. You play as thieves and barbarians and archers and wizards, and you get a team of 3. You go into a dungeon. There's monsters in there. There's treasure in there. There's other teams of 3 in there, and everyone's trying to just get the most loot they can and escape through one of the portals before things turn real south real fast. We played this on a big team building, and man, like I have trouble with close range combat and most of the other extraction shooters, but like playing this game where you're dealing with melee weapons and spells and arrows, it fit me like a glove. And Sam was in his element. Donovan was with us, and we just like this was a blast. It was maybe one of my favorite big team building games we played this year.
Honestly, maybe a crime that we only played it once because it was that fun, right? Like Sam had played it a bit, and me and you were like, "All right, we'll try it." And by the end, we were like, "God, let's keep playing this thing." It is such they nail the extraction shooter like vibe, where just moment to moment you are sweating your ass off playing that game because like every turn, there might be a mage or another archer there, and somebody getting looted. When you find a chest, and you're like, they do like the puzzle inventory, so like trying to drag and drop a sword, you hear like a skeleton clinking down the hall behind you, or like when you stumble into a room and you know it's like we're getting close to that time we need to extract, and there's like 2 portals but there's 3 of you, and trying to like do the quick math of like who would make sense to get out first and who you're gonna leave behind to like hope there's a portal in the next room. It just nails all that so well, and even when you fail you're like laughing at like just how stressful it all was. Yeah, very few games am I like yelling into my mic and like rocking back and forth in the final moments just out of pure anxiety. It is a very fun spin on that formula.
Yeah, I think the setting too. You guys mentioned it, like having a fantasy setting for an extraction shooter game. I think is kind
Yeah.
of unique. It's always, some post-apocalyptic war, like whatever,
Right.
whatever setting the division is in, basically.
Escape from Tarkov's another one.
Yeah,
That's
there's a lot
like
of
that.
war games, so to see one of these done in a fantasy realm, I think is kind of cool.
Mhm.
But yeah, another worthy nominee, and yeah, the devs are out there fighting. I love the innovation that they're like, screw it, we're gonna have to make our own launcher for this. Uh,
Mhm.
I mean, that's just I like that kind of entrepreneurial spirit and like a refusal to back down against the big corporations. So yeah, we're cheering on the Dark and Darker devs for sure. As long as they haven't done anything illegal. If it comes out that they've done something illegal, we do not co-sign that.
Yeah, I'm
But
just
there is
speaking
an
to the game's merits. All I can
there's
do.
an outstanding court case still going on. So just want to let people know we're not calling a winner here yet on that. But the game is pretty damn neat, and it's in early access. So here we are. Uh, Man, Kerbal Space Program 2 is still in early access. Ozzy, you've
Yeah.
had hands-on with this game, right?
I actually haven't,
I've
but I
talked to a lot of the
appreciate
devs.
everything that they've done in letting you explore farther into the galaxy. But I cannot actually speak too much of
Okay.
Kerbal Space Program 2.
I
I've
played a little
I've
bit of
interviewed a
it.
lot of the devs.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
sorry, I've interviewed a lot of the devs, and like I can just speak to the fact that like it's an engineering sim. Like if you're really into hyper realistic like space travel and physics and engineering, like this is what this is, and that's why it's in early access because this stuff is constantly evolving, especially if you're on the cutting edge of a lot of stuff.
That's part of why it loses me, because I'm not a great engineer type person.
It's a simulator. I would argue it's a simulator more than like a video game. Like it's a physics
It is a sim.
engineering simulator.
But the stuff that
I-
people are able to build is just remarkable. It's incredible to see what they're able to build, and even when they fail, it's great. Like because engineering is trial and error, and when something goes wrong and your vessel comes flying down to Earth and crashes and blows up a bunch of curveballs, it's funny to see.
I am the people that are making like successful spaceships in Kerbal Space Program 2 should apply to NASA. Because I
Yeah.
played a few hours of that damn game, and I've never felt stupider or dumber playing a video game. Because I go into it like it's a builder, but it's like a video game builder. So I'll just put like a box, a triangle, an engine, and I'll just like go to the moon. And it was like I spent hours just like going up and then crashing somewhere in the ocean or onto the side of a mountain. But it is a very in-depth sim. Like after I put it down, I have a buddy who's like big in engineering and space and science and all that. I was like, "You're gonna devour this game," because I felt like I was actually trying to build a goddamn rocket ship and I could not crack it.
There,
But
there was this old PC game, and this is like Windows 3.11 era, maybe DOS even, where you would build these cars, and it was all about testing your car in a wind tunnel for aerodynamics. Kerbal just seems like a very, very, very larger scale version of this, where it's like it does reward like proper aerodynamic design. And that is a challenge for a lot of people who are casual players of games who may not be mathematicians or have any engineering background. So yeah, I do think that the game is impressive in just what the systems they created are. But yeah, it's almost a non-starter for me too, because like I don't know how to make rockets, and I'm pretty
none of us are
bad at it.
engineers. We wouldn't be here if we were engineers.
No, definitely not engineers.
But like, I am someone who likes creative games and maker style games. I tend to just be I focus on the ones where I understand the systems. And Kerbal is like, it's tough. It's actually a
A
difficult
lot
game.
of systems.
Yeah, and it's almost too detailed for me to be able to even try.
But I mean, like any game, I think that encourages creativity on like a realistic level, like that's good. You know, it encourages kids who are learning engineering, right, or learning physics can go jump into this game and actually learn things from the game. You know,
Yep.
Minecraft's great, but like you don't really learn physics in Minecraft. You just build up.
First time you die from fall damage in Minecraft is
Blocks
a
go
scarring
up.
experience.
Yep. Well, we got one more game left on our nominees list here. Relic Hunter's Legend.
Now this is a fun one that I really enjoy. This is from a Brazilian developer, and this is a sequel to one that they made about 5-6 years ago, where it's basically a looter shooter. And one thing that I really liked about Legend is that it plays out sort of like a Saturday morning cartoon type of thing. You're playing as like a kid that's like attending a class, you get taken out of class, and then suddenly you end up passing out and waking up on another galaxy. And you're in the middle of like a big freedom fight against an evil empire of ducks. And basically it's what if Borderlands was like a Saturday morning cartoon type of thing. And they give you a lot of missions to take part of. It advances the story slowly by moment by moment. And I'm excited to see where the story goes. I love the aesthetic of it. And I'm happy that Gearbox Publishing has picked it up, because I think they also see the Borderlands similarities, and they're like, yeah, let's see what you guys can do with this. And it's definitely one of my favorite shooters that I've played so far this year, even if it is an early access.
And it's not a first-person shooter. We're talking
No. This is
it's like a top-down
Twin stick.
third-person
It's almost
game.
like a twin stick shooter.
Yeah, I get some Smash TV vibes from it, but it's less contained. These are like kind of sprawling worlds that they created.
Yeah, and that story and that world that they created, it feels like something out of Nickelodeon. I'm into it.
Yeah. I dig the art style. I think the gameplay looks cool. I love hearing that's a small indie dev out of like, a region that people don't.
Let me get
talk
the
about
dev name really quick, because I feel like I should definitely shout out to them.
It is Rogue Snail.
Rogue Snail, that's right. Like they started this out as like a mobile game, and then they saw the potential that they had, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna go bigger with this, and we're just gonna throw it on PC and what have you. Let's go.
Shout out, they're a remote work studio too.
Yes, 100% remote. So good on them for that.
Hell yeah. But yeah, unless anyone has anything else to say about great early access games that came out this year, I think it's time to vote. Okay, it's time to vote. David.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to try any one of these. I would probably try Disney Dreamlight Valley, but I'm still in therapy recovering from my Animal Crossing addiction. So I would probably go with BattleBit, just because I know that like Greg feels kind of uncomfortable with a lot of Mortal Kombat's more realistic fatalities. I've never completely felt comfortable playing COD or Battlefield for a number of reasons. But BattleBit's art style is kind of makes it a more fantastical experience, and I'd be more willing to play that. So
I have a feeling you're not gonna like it though, as someone who doesn't play a whole lot of multiplayer shooters anymore.
Probably not, but I
Yeah.
would try it.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm coming from for this category.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I just letting you know. I kind of know your taste in shooters.
Yeah.
This one it's brutal. It's fun, but man, it is intense. Donovan.
Yeah, I'll also go with Battlebit Remastered. It also, admittedly, is not a game like it didn't take over my life when I played it. I played a few times with some buddies, but again, it's captured that feeling I haven't had since like the Battlefield over a decade ago. Or where there's just like 250 people on a level, and there's people everywhere hiding in bushes, flying in jets, driving down the street. So
You're
yeah.
just constantly being flanked in BattleBit. Like there's not
you're
a
never
moment in
safe in that
time
game.
where you're always in danger in that game. And I just think it's pretty intense. Okay. Greg.
Wow, like I love my Disney, so I'm gonna have to no. I'm gonna do Dark and Darker. The more I look at that game, the more I think it's right up my alley. I think it's really unfortunate that they're stuck in a lawsuit right now and have to do this weird stuff to get their game out there. And I hope it's not true. Again, I have no facts on the case. I have no if they really did steal code or not. But I'm gonna do Dark and Darker.
Dark and Darker. TJ.
I also will do Dark and Darker. I think those guys deserve to be rewarded for coming up with such a cool take on the on the extraction shooter genre. They came up with some really good ideas, some really good mechanics, building the class system into it, making you fight skeletons and bats in addition to other people. That's really fun. And even if this game did get shut down, I would hope that Iron Mace gets to make another game after this with some of these ideas.
Really depends on the outcome of that case.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ozzy.
I would be remiss if I didn't attempt to get this game as a 2-time winner. I'm going with Disney Dreamlight Valley.
The chaotic vote. Steve.
Tape. I think if I didn't go get one vote for that, Bill might come after me.
Good point. Good point, Steve. Yeah, Bill voted for Tape to Tape. Surprising no one. And let's see. Do I have any other absentee ballots? Give me 1 second, folks. Sam.
Tape to Tape.
Yeah, Sam is voting for Dark and Darker. So that's interesting. Let's see, do I have any others? I already got Bill in there. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't have any other. No other votes. So, other than mine. And I'm going to be the agent of chaos here and create a vote off. I'm voting for Tape to Tape, which creates a vote off between Dark and Darker and Tape to Tape.
Ooh.
So here we go. Yeah, here we go. Steve.
I am sticking with Tape to Tape.
Mm-hmm. Ozzy.
Tape to Tape.
TJ.
Dark and Darker.
Greg.
Dark and Darker.
I'm going to stick with Tape to Tape. Donovan.
Dark and Darker.
Now David Craddock
David?
has the power.
Dark and Darker sounds pretty cool.
Okay. And Bill would have voted for Tape to Tape again.
Then what did Denny vote for?
Are there only 8 people? Do we only have 8 votes?
Denny. We need Denny's.
Yeah,
Missing.
yeah, we would
Or
need Denny.
There should be
With
10
Helen.
total.
Yeah, I was gonna
It's
say,
4-4 right now.
Yeah, well, we have 10.
Oh, Sam's vote.
Yeah, Sam's vote.
You're right.
Yeah.
Sam voted for Dark and Darker. Okay, thank you.
That was
TJ.
his nomination. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
That makes
got
sense.
it. So 5-4, Dark and Darker wins. Sorry, Bill, I tried. you know what? I looked forward to Tape being eligible for Game of the Year and Best Sports Game whenever it drops, because I have a feeling that this is not the last time we will be singing the praises of that game.
Probably
yeah,
going
I
to
just-
end up big in our top 10 indies next year, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
In the
See
meantime,
that.
congratulations to Iron Mace. Good luck with what you guys are going through right now. But yeah, we appreciate your game, Dark and Darker. And it is our Shacknews Best Early Access Game of the Year 2023.